I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. It's Wednesday, March the 10th. Big news today. This morning, President Obama announced his nominee to be on the U.S. Supreme Court to succeed the late Antonin Scalia. He's Merrick Garland, a U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals judge in Washington. He's a former U.S. prosecutor. He's a moderate by any definition on the judicial scale. He's been praised at various times by some of the most strident Republican opponents of President Obama. Naturally, this doesn't matter. Republicans say they're going to not have any hearings for him, block him at any cost. John Boozman and Tom Cotton, the Arkansas senators, have thrown in with this, of course. Boozman issued a statement in which he said it's precedent not to have judicial nominees be considered in the last year of a presidency. The record shows that's simply not true. Tom Cotton, for his part, finds language that's not in the Constitution to say the people should have a say in the pick of a U.S. Supreme Court member. Well, that's the president's job, and it's the Senate's job to advise and consent. I noticed Representative Bruce Westerman said representatives should have a say in the court. Well, they don't. That's not a role of the U.S. House of Representatives. You're going to hear a lot of misdirection as this goes on. However, I don't think he's going to get a hearing, although some Republicans, sensitive to the fact that the public thinks he should get a hearing, are saying they might be open to talking to him. Mighty nice of them. Big night on the presidential primary trail last night. Hillary Clinton won victories in all 5 states on the ballot. Very close in Missouri, a handful of votes, but still a big night for her. At this point, mathematically, it's impossible to see how Bernie Sanders can win the nomination, but he's going to stay in the fight. Donald Trump won 4 states. He moves closer, but by no means to an assured spot of winning the nomination outright. John Kasich won Ohio. He's going to keep fighting. Ted Cruz doesn't want to get out. There's still great hope that the Republicans can find a way to beat Trump in a brokered convention, but there's certainly to be heck to pay if that happens. Donald Trump said today there'd be a riot if they tried to take the nomination away from him, which gives you some idea where this campaign has gone to. Big news in the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette this morning, fine reporting by Scott Carroll, reviewing figures that show for the 4th consecutive year the use of force by the Little Rock Police Department has declined. This is representative, the chief and others say, of a change in approach on the Little Rock Police Force toward communication and trying to resolve conflict rather than use force to settle conflicts. Good news, it would be interesting to see if this is held true across racial lines, because the Little Rock Police in the past have particularly come under criticism for use of force against black residents. Elsewhere on the racial front, Governor Asa Hutchinson continues to have trouble and stir concern in the black community about just how much he cares about black people's concern, particularly as epitomized by the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center, the Museum of Black Arkansas History on Broadway. Last week there was a controversy when they ordered the removal of a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. This is a bigger issue now. The governor says he doesn't intend to go forward with plans or to fund an appropriation that provided $1 million for that museum to buy a building next door that truly is a historic business building that once was occupied by a very prominent black business of its day. He says the state simply can't afford it, not when it's paying for tax cuts for other people. Black people think they don't make enough of an effort to show they really care about this museum. They fear that maybe they hope it will just go away, that it won't be sustained at all. They've hired a political operator known for tax cutting in Tennessee as an education director at the museum, which is another reason that people are concerned about the future there. Nate Coulter is a brand new director of the Central Arkansas Library System in Little Rock. He's already getting involved in politics, speaking of the governor again. He's written the governor asking him to reconsider a budget that again doesn't restore money taken away from libraries in 2015 to pay for a tax cut. The amount of money was $1 million overall statewide, but those were a lot of books and a lot of electronic purchases. Nate Coulter points out that if the governor is serious about lifting Arkansas educationally and into the computer age, we ought to be spending money in libraries as well as cutting people's taxes. For your reading pleasure, I urge you to take a look at a very important article I've listed on the Arkansas blog today. It's a look at how the Walmart fortune is applying what it does in business to the school system, and takes a long look at whether charter schools and choice really are good for public schools. This article concludes that they're not. They see a parallel in how Walmart has put some business out of business in small towns, and then left and closed their own stores as well. Is that same thing going to happen in education? Will we see the shuttering of truly public schools in favor of a system of charter schools that aren't accountable? It's food for thought as Arkansas considers whether to expand existing charter school operations in Little Rock. Those hearings are going to come up sometime next month. Last night we had a guilty plea in a federal court. A woman who was a part of the USDA finance program to send money to child feeding programs around the state pleaded guilty, got a 5-year sentence. This is an interesting federal investigation that has now grown to include 6 people all told, accused of bilking the government out of $3 million in money they received that was supposed to go to meals for children, but very little of it did. It's a wonder that this operated for so long in the State Department of Human Services without being found until the feds came along. And finally, last night on University Avenue, a homeless person was hit twice by cars. One of them left the scene of the accident. The person has died. The police are looking for a suspect. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm Max Brantley.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team and Little Rock's University.